Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. It hasn't actually been 15 minutes, but let's go ahead and move on to this next topic. Um, People purposely sometimes say that I seem as if I'm overly critical of the black community and that I blame the black community for all of the problems and woes that are currently in the United States because I personally have noticed that the Democrat Party or the left, they've weaponized the black population against the country and they use them as their excuse for everything. I mean, think about it. They've completely removed all voter ID laws in the state of California in the name of protecting black people's right to vote because they said black people are not smart enough to make it to a DMV to attain ID. Now, if you ask a black person on the streets of Los Angeles or San Francisco, they'll tell you that's bullshit and it's weird because, well, everyone drives a car. Everyone has to go to a club. Everyone has to go to a bank. There's nobody who's so dumb or poor or destitute that they can't get an ID. However, those same people will not make videos like this or go protest and say, hey, stop calling us fucking morons and making fun of us and saying that we're so pathetic that we can't figure out where to get an identification. Therefore, it's kind of like in a way a double-edged sword. You can insult them as long as you feed into their ego about victimhood. You can say whatever you want as long as you top it in there as in by finishing off, well, you're oppressed and you're pathetic and you're not smart enough, but you're a victim. Maybe we'll give you some free stuff, in exchange for being able to disrespect you or call you names. And that's not me saying it. That's the Democrat Party. I mean, they literally tell you. And the thing is, and this is what I mean by being weaponized. This country is full of people from every country on earth, all different nationalities, different colors, creeds, ethnicities. But look what Bill Maher says.
I warned everybody about Trump, and then I warned them about what would get him reelected, which was stupid wokeness, which is what got him reelected. So I feel my conscience is very clear that I told you, and I told you, and I told you, and I lost fans for it. Lots of the super woke that like I'm not woke enough. Yeah, but like I think I'm not right. Like that kind of stuff is what lost the election for the Democrats. It's in all
maybe part of it. I don't know. I think a lot
polling on it.
It's well, I think it's inflation. I think Americans hate inflation.
That's certainly right.
And Bill Maher, remember, he's someone who doesn't read the news. He's not up to date on anything. He's just someone they keep on television, but he's not like me. I do this every day. I read the news every single day, and I read the news to people, or I play videos and let you decide what you want to think for yourself. I'm of course, I'm America first, so my leanings are going to be towards the right, no matter what. So, but listen to what he says.
Inflation, they hate rights, and they hate black women, and they hate trouble people. They just spent hundreds of millions of dollars demonizing trans people. And that's disgusting.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk politics.
Okay, we shouldn't.
I mean,
great.
Okay, I stand corrected. Bill Maher didn't say that the country hates black people. His guest, this woke actor that used to be on the show with Charlie Sheen, oddly enough, what is it, 2.5 Men? That fucking guy says America hates black women. And what if America does? The whole point of being an American is no one has to like you. No one has to say nice, sweet things about you. No one has to compliment you or your lifestyle. No one has to agree with it. We can tell you, go fuck yourself. I hate the fact that everyone's trying to force certain people down your throat and force you to accept them. It's okay. He's a pedophile, but he's attracted to children. However, because he's also gay, you have to accept that. Oh yeah, this is a man dressed up as a woman. If you won't date him, then you're this. What the hell are you talking about? You're not going to shame me into submission. And you telling me that I hate black women or that everyone else hates black women, and so what? I'm not saying it's true, but even if it was, everyone has the right to hate whoever they want to. No one has to like you and your specific sect of people, especially if someone's noticing a pattern of people from a particular group. What does Fannie Willis, Letitia James, and Alvin Bragg all have in common? What does, name any topic. America is tired of Black culture, as they should be. It's actually the number one thing that we're exporting to other English-speaking countries, because Black culture is transmitted through language, the English language. So other countries that speak English, like I was just watching a video about these kids in South Africa. They speak English, they listen to rap music, and it's like this disgusting culture of anti-family, anti-religion, and pro-violence, pro-murder, all being exported to these other countries. Look at the UK. Now it's so popular to kill, but it's amongst the Blacks only in these different countries. Look at Canada. Look at Toronto. Look at East London. Look at South Africa. Look at these places that speak English. So yeah, Americans are noticing a pattern and they're getting tired of it. Kamala was not qualified at all. You wanted us to like her because of how she looks. Fuck that. That makes literally no logical sense at all. No one is going to support you based on your appearance. If anything, if we see people with your appearance that are doing something that is counterproductive to the country, I will go the opposite way. But I'll be honest with you, telling someone that they should vote for someone based on how they look is just as dumb as to telling them to not vote for someone based on how they look. This isn't about Black women. But remember, you have the right to not like or to hate anybody you want to. You don't have to like any fucking body or anything. Never forget that. And this is just another way that this man who's a part of the gay community, they use shame to control you because they can't do it by force, because they don't have the strength or the physical capability. All they can do is tell you to defund the police. And then when they get afraid of you, the same gay man will call the police. And his strongest weapon is the Black community, because the Black community works security for the gay community. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but the Black community and the gay community have merged together. We call it the Black Army, BLAQ Army. Look it up. That's what it's called. It's a merger of those two communities. And if you notice it, the gay community backs down whenever Black people say something to them, because that's their security. So they can't go against them. They can't fight with them or argue. That's why they always give up on every argument and walk away. But if it's a straight white man, they'll yell and scream and get in their face. But they're using you if you're a Black person. So they can't do that. And this isn't just me. That's Bill Maher saying this. But look, 40% of murders in USA take place in SOROS-backed districts. What are the demographics in these districts? For example, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Who was that? In San Francisco, the mayor was also, his parents were a part of some terror group a long time ago. And in Los Angeles, we had Gascon. And see, the reason we call these areas where there's Soros-backed DAs hellholes is because if something happens to you that's violent, if someone robs you, if someone tries to kill you or successfully unalives you, there's going to be no accountability for that person, especially if they belong to a certain protected race or group of people that are being used to help break down these American cities on purpose by design. Remember, George Soros is no American. He has no allegiance to you. So why is he so interested in backing district attorneys who do no longer want to prosecute crimes unless it's against white straight males? Like Daniel Penny, for example. They'll throw the book at him and go all out, but not the rest of these people that are murdering and pushing people on the subways and setting people on fire. They won't do that. So yeah, if someone kicks in your door and robs your house, the police are so afraid to do their jobs now. The investigation will be minimal. And they're going to do like they did in Los Angeles when I was there. They're going to make a press conference and they're going to say, hey, LA is now the purge. Do not come here. We can no longer protect you. They literally made that announcement on television. They said, actually, the difference is the purge is only 24 hours. This is going to be indefinitely. We can no longer protect you. We have to live like that in these George Soros backed cities, because these are cities supported by, for one thing, an overwhelming vote from the Black community. Because if you enforce crimes against violence, then it's going to be disproportionately being enforced against people that are committing those crimes. Statistically, that's the Black community. Just like when you try to enforce crimes against people that are going after pedophiles and rapists, it's going to disproportionately affect the LGBTQ community, which is the base. The Black community and the LG, whatever the fuck community, they're all a part of the base for the Democrat Party. That's why 158 Democrats voted no when it came to the deportation of migrants for sex offenses. How the hell is that possible? How the hell is that allowed? Who are the people in our society amongst us who do not think thinks it's okay to allow people who are breaking into the country illegally to stay in the country even after they commit a sex offense, whether it's against a woman or a child, whoever? And it's because this is their base. This is the Democrat Party's base. That's who the Democrats run, these same cities that Soros backs the DAs in. And you guys understand, these are cities that have large populations. Yeah, you might live in a nice state where you don't have to worry about this, but don't forget, they have populations, they have numbers in these areas, which also gives them congressional votes as well. So you can never forget that. And again, there are certain topics I cannot talk about on YouTube or whatever. So I'm not going to bring up this topic right here, which is a beautiful subject, but you got to talk to me on Rumble or X for me to get into details about that. I am a leading researcher in the topic. I can tell you everything that's going on with it and stuff that you've probably never heard of or considered. Just can't do it on YouTube. This whole visa situation, it's getting out of hand, but it's also shedding the light that the America First movement is compromised and it is fickle. It is not solidified. We're not on a united front. We're not all on the same page. And that, unfortunately, will be problematic for Donald Trump. In my opinion, Elon Musk was a net positive, but he is a known liar and he does have his own issues. He lies to you about space every day, manipulates the public to believe that his rockets are going to Mars and out of the dome, and he's lying to you. So anything else that comes out of his mouth is going to be, it's going to follow that same pattern. Remember, he's the same guy that wants to put chips in your brain. That the way they control monkeys, he wants to put a neural link in your brain. He convinces you that balloons that carry around equipment for GPS are satellites floating in space. It's all lies. He knows this, and he could easily tell the public about it, but he does not. So that makes him untrustworthy. So even though I'm glad he did help us get past this whole Democrat thing with Kamala, even though it was a landslide and she didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell anyway, because she's an incompetent drunk that is not in control of herself and really can't even do public speaking. But he was there and he said the right things and we kind of became unified. But now we have a problem. We have a wolf in the henhouse. So I'm at my 15 minutes. I'll start another live. Well, actually, I'll just end it. I'll stop for a second. And then we'll just I don't even have to stop the live, but we'll just keep going. I saw this actually came up not too long ago on my timeline, and I shared it. And if you guys have comments, I'll read them. Just comment on the same video that we're going to go over. This was an Iranian man who made Canada his second home. And he's also worrying about the future of Canada because now that Trudeau's about to get out, You got to look back at all the damage he's done. He brought in all these Somalis and all these people from different countries, and the native Canadians who have been there their whole lives are now being pretty much displaced. That's why so many Canadians are like, shit, we'll love to become the 51st state of the United States, even though it's probably not going to, it couldn't happen, but it's just an amazing idea. But look what this Iranian man is saying about his fears about the future of Canada.
Oh. I've been to prison. I've been under Islamic law, and I know how it starts, and I know how it ends. And it always starts with for some reason, unity of left and Islamists, and it scares me. So,
unity of the left, the Democrats, and the Islamists.
Came here to be free. I chose Canada as my second home to live in a free country, and I'm beginning to get.
You know, it's strange. They make very strange bedfellows because one group hates the gays, the other group solely depends on them. So, okay, you're willing to give up all your beliefs and combine with this group against who? Who are you fighting against? Who's your enemy? Who's your target? And that would be basically conservative, straight white men and their families, their children. They feel like, from what these people say, they feel like they're all at war with white families. So they're trying to destroy them. That's why they're trying to manipulate their children into becoming gay and joining the other side, because they know in the end, those children will unalive themselves soon, not soon, before long anyway, which also just contributes to the depopulation agenda as well. It's all tied in together. The World Economic Forum, those people and their think tanks are amazing. Trust me, I'm not fully against everything they're doing. I actually respect it. I just think it's fine that I make content talking about it and pointing it out to people who are also picking up and noticing the exact same thing. You know, this content's for you.
It really scared, because the way things are going, it looks like they're going to basically appease Islamists just to not raise any ruckus or something. They're just going to appease them step by step, and they're not going to stop. They see it as a sign of weakness, so they're going to take more and more. And I'm against that. I believe Canada should be free, and freedom of speech is something that nobody can take. I'm a political refugee from Iran. I've been to prison. I've been under Islamic law, and I know how it starts.
Well, my friend, you picked the wrong country. You know, you got to be honest. You can never. If one thing reality should teach you, there's no such thing as freedom of speech when you don't have the right to bear arms. The reason we in America have the freedom of speech is because we have guns and weapons. Without those, we'll be just like these pathetic Canadians and Brits who are being arrested right now for retweeting stuff about immigration on Twitter. They're having their doors kicked in right now and being arrested for just simply talking online about immigration policy. Actually, I'm going to read this story. It was a news headline. There was a girl who was, I guess, some young girl was with 15 older men from Pakistan or something. She was caught, saved from these men, but then she was then arrested for being there. It's something completely out of this world, but those populations have grown so large in these places that, like this man was saying, they don't want them to get upset or to create a ruckus. So they're just going along with it. The same with it's going on in the UK. Even the police, they're so afraid of the foreigners that they're like, if we got to just arrest white people, we're going to do it. I don't know if you guys remember the BLM riots. There was, a man who told some guy who was just loitering in front of his house where his daughters are playing to get the hell off the block. The next day, all these black protesters show up to this man's house. They shouldn't have been there. It was an unlawful assembly. It was harassment. They were threatening this man. The police came and they arrested the father, the homeowner, for simply trying to protect his children from this weird stranger who was just hanging around his area. They arrested the father because he's one. It's easier to arrest one person than to arrest the hundreds that are there illegally going after him. So I guess that's the thing now. They're noticing that the willing and able white population is substantially smaller than the willing and able population of black or extremists, Islamists, whatever you want to call them. So what they're doing now is it's easier for them just to go after white people who are speaking out against them online. The same thing is happening in the United States to a point. And unfortunately, just white people are seeing this and they're actually just joining the gay community, a lot of them. And a lot of families are being torn apart that way. You know, when I watch these interviews, you know, these are women, and they're just basically talking about how much they hate themselves because of how they were born. I think this is
Great habits has made America great again. That tells people that you go along with this. So you might just put a swastika on the hat.
So this is a conversation between three white people. Let's see how it goes.
Don't do that.
You agree with what she said there?
I'm a flaming liberal, so yes, I agree with what she said.
Right. Where do you draw it?
A flaming liberal. What the fuck does that mean? Well, let's see.
I think more so not just necessarily in the Make America Great Again on his part, which I do believe that he has very strong beliefs that most people are below him. And
wouldn't she be technically speaking for herself because she's his people? So she feels she's above other people, but she's projecting it onto a man she's never met named Donald Trump because she sees him on television.
His people. But
you are his people.
So not just him, but also other people that follow him, that believe in that, in the collective of a lot of the beliefs that they also believe in. So
lady, that's you. That's you and your father and your family.
Representing one thing, maybe, but usually the people that are representing it have very strong views that relate to a lot of other things that would make me also believe that they agree with some things that would also be represented by somebody with swastika, if that makes sense.
What the I felt like we were just listening to Kamala Harris explain to us how she was going to fix the economy again. Word salad, undigestible, GMO word salad nonsense. I'll be honest, this whole, like I said, they're using the race stuff primarily centered around they're pretending virtue signal like they want to save black people, just not from themselves, even though they're out hunting each other down every night in every major city, but from imaginary white people who hate them, who don't exist. It's a weird thing, and they're just beating us over the head. It's actually ripping the country apart. So there's going to eventually have to be a separation. There's going to have to be something, because coexistence is looking less and less possible long term. But you have channels like mine who are hoping to break this stuff down so you can understand it's all just a psyop. It's all meant to distract you, keep you in a box. It's all meant to control you emotionally. If you can just get over your emotions and look at things pragmatically, you'll be better. You know, you'll do better. Like, for example, let's see here.
I just think there's just not enough white men.
Why do you say that? That is not a popular belief.
And this is a white woman. And she's like, why would you say that? Why would you not want this person to say, like, this is why she's the one I don't understand. She's another flaming liberal, I guess. And who do flaming liberals hate? Straight white men, specifically.
Look, I like Maher because he doesn't have an opinion. It's a Melody Hobson quote. I just love it. The math is that I want every white male to be successful if they can. I want everybody to be successful, but we need every successful college-educated white man to be on the field of economics. But mathematically, there's not enough college-educated, successful white men to drive GDP for 30 years. I just think there's just not enough white men.
What he's basically saying is that the gross domestic product of the United States is on life support. There is no long-term prospects because the people that they're looking to bring in and put in charge, they don't love the country. They're just here to extract and to send back home. And the other people you want to put in charge they're just incompetent and they're DEI. So they're only put there to bring things down, not to boost things up. That goes for the economy. That goes for the country as a whole. And he notices that. I notice that. I can see that coming a mile away. Anybody with any sense who's honest with themselves can see this a mile away. You know, we were talking about George Soros, and it's crazy. Joe Biden just gave him some kind of fucking award. But what do we know about him? This is an oldie but goodie video. This is on the Safe and Effective podcast. Oh yeah, if you can like and follow the YouTube page. We're currently on the Club Rico podcast page. Easy, Club Rico, one word, and then podcast. Or the Safe and Effective. Just follow us, and then that way you can get more of these videos, and you'll know that you're not losing your mind because everybody else is trying to convince you that left is right and up is down. So no, we're going back to normalcy here. But this is a video of George Soros. This is the person that the president, the walking corpse, just gave some kind of award to.
Last 2 years, you've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia. All of the above. Are you that powerful? No, I think there's a great misunderstanding. The Prime Minister of Malaysia said that the region spent 40 years trying to build up its economy, and along comes a moron like Soros with a lot of money, and it's all over. He called you a criminal. It's easier for him to blame an outside force. I think that I've been blamed for everything. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do. Do you believe in God? No. The last 2 years, you've been blamed for.
That's one video of Soros. The other videos are of him describing about how he was a part of the Reich, and he claims he's Jewish, but he was stealing from Jewish people that were being taken away to camps. That's how this man got started. And now he's completely focused and obsessed with the United States for some reason. And it's kind of like it's just a goal. It's just something to go after. I noticed that they're not focused on BRICS nations. You don't see him trying to manipulate the economies in China or Russia or even in India. They're all focusing their resources on dismantling the United States. But then again, out of all the countries I just named, we're the only ones who have guns. So let's keep that in mind. You know what? These two videos go hand in hand, actually. Let's watch them both.
In order to show people that I'm different from the girl,
Well, you are, because you have a penis.
I have to put my face in to show them, and hopefully it brings a little more understanding to it.
But Nova says her school district is not being understanding, which is why she and the American Civil Liberties Union of Chicago are filing a lawsuit against District 211.
All I want to do is just be like all the other girls.
Suing the school district will not make you a girl. It will not make you like other girls. You are a boy. You have testicles. Even if you chop them off, you're still a male. Body dysmorphia and having these mental diseases, playing into them, pretending that they're real, is not healthy. But also awarding people monetary damage for frivolous lawsuits is also a bad precedent to set. But again, these are happening in blue cities, blue states, where everything is upside down right now. And he'll never be a girl. He wants to hang out in girls' bathrooms, so he's a creep that will grow up one day to be a perv. It's never the other way around. It's never women pretending to be men fighting for the right to walk into a men's bathroom. Because, regardless of what people say, men are the stronger gender. We will whoop the shit out you. They want to go around spaces where women and children are because they're weaker. And as a man, you have a higher chance of fighting one of them and being successful. He's going to have a really hard time going up against a regular male or someone like myself. he's going to have a really rough go at it. So he has to target women and children. And that's the goal. He's trying to pave the way so that other perverts, he wants to walk so that the other pervs can run. We can't keep allowing this to go forward.
If you want to chop your dick off, I have nothing against that. I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-transgender. I'm not anti any of these things. What I am anti is propagating your worldview on other people's children. If you're gay and you can't have kids, why do you now believe it's your right to go to other people's kids and tell them how to think? If you've decided that the type of sex you want to have will prevent you from procreating, that's your decision, right? You've decided that having sex with women isn't worth it for you. You don't want to have children. You want to have sex with men. Fine, your decision, and you're entitled to. That does not give you the entitlement to go to other people's families who did decide to have children and raise them and try and program their children. Leave the kids alone. You can be as transgender as you like. Don't come talk to my kid about it. That's my child. I will program my child with my worldviews. I raise them. I pay for them. They're my kid. They're not your kid. And they're not the government's kid. Leave the kids alone. If you want.
Like I said, these videos go hand in hand. This man's worldview of trying to pretend that he's a woman, he wants to spread that and make it something for other kids to indulge in. We can't have that. And it's weird. He's a Democrat. Even though I'm a person that does believe I used to believe in a two-state solution. I don't even know if that's possible anymore between Israel and between the Palestinians and the Zionists. But they are now essentially, it seems like they're all on the left. So you have, again, the pro-Palestinian. I don't even think this is about Palestine anymore. These are all just disruptors. These are all just people that are being paid to disrupt. They're not even, this isn't about Palestine. It's just the sticker they put on it for the day. I don't even think this is about Palestine. This is Austin. This is not Houston. Austin is basically a colony of California. Zero idea how any of that helps anyone in Palestine right now. As far as I can tell, when I do the math, it does zero good for anyone. It's just a complete waste of time and space. It's not accomplishing anything. I mean, it'd make more sense to just charter mass flights and then cross the border from Lebanon and just get busy. If you're going to go over there, go protest or go fight, that makes way more sense than hanging around in downtown Austin by the university, throwing smoke bombs and chanting on a microphone. I'm not, and this is the thing. People are, most people are results based. What are the results from any of the stuff these Palestine protests are creating? There's literally no results. Nothing is coming from it. There's no good being generated from it. There's not even awareness. I'm pretty sure everybody's already aware. So why are they there? And the reason they're there is because someone's paying them to be there. People think it's George Soros. It's just to kind of keep the pressure on the American government. I'll be honest. Once Trump is put in office, we're going to have a whole lot of problems. I mean, I'm talking about, it's like they're just lining all this stuff up to just cascade day after day, week after week, month after month. They're just going to bombard us. They're going to try to make Trump's presidency a nightmare for all Americans. And we have to understand what they're going to try to do. And just remember what we just went through under Biden. It really can't get any worse. I lost so many friends and family under Biden because of those mandates. I'm just, now they're trying to pretend all this other, none of that stuff's ever going to, I lost my home. I gave up my hometown, city, my life. I had to move to the other side of the country because of Democrats. No matter what they're going to do coming up, it'll never compare to what we went through these past 4 years. no matter how hard they try, because we'll be able to see through it. We know what their goals are. The goals are try to make you disgusted and just want Trump. That's not going to work this time. He won overwhelmingly for a reason, and it was too big to rig. So they're going to have to deal with it. So let's see here. Talked about this in the last live. Last year, Gavin Newsom signed a law banning local governments from passing laws requiring identification to vote. You still need an ID to drive. Still need an ID to walk into a bank and make a withdrawal. You still need an ID to do every fucking thing else in that state. But you don't need an ID to vote. And the whole reason that they're doing that is because they want to make voting fraud unprovable. You won't ever be able to prove fraud in this state when it comes to voting for someone because there's no identification no longer. So there's no keeping track of people. So basically, it's just, whoever they say wins, win. How is that American? In my opinion, that means Californians no longer have the right to vote because their votes are just ignored, and whoever the people in charge say they want to say won. There's no longer identification. So it's crazy. If you're one of those people that says, oh, we fought for the right to vote and yada, yada, well, you just lost it. What are you going to do to get it back? Do you care that you lost it? Were you doing anything with your right to vote anyway? I mean, you only can vote one way, apparently. So you've been lost your right to vote. You can't vote for who you want to in the first place. Let's be honest. They have to vote Democrat or they're kicked out of the cult. So, but that's California, and that's why I left. I miss them. I miss a lot of my friends, but a lot of my friends are sick and gone now. They're not even there anymore. So what am I missing? Another example of what Newsom and his bullshit did to California. This is from 2013 when he was just a lieutenant governor. This is before he was the governor.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account.
Do you see that? Do you see what he just did? Half of African American. It's not me. It's them. They use black people for everything. It's not me making up this stuff or saying, oh, these people. I'm just pointing out to you what they're saying. This is the news. I'm reading the news to you, and I'm pointing out a pattern. This isn't just me being biased. No, I'm noticing, hey, these people, they're using that they're using it as a gun. It's a weapon, it's a knife. And they're slicing you up with it. It's bias it's racist if you say that's a knife. No, it's literally they're whooping you over the head, and you're using these people as an excuse to dissolve everything that makes sense. Watch, let them finish. And this is what I loved about Adam Carolla. I love when people push back. And this is not something that's done enough.
Or an ATM, things we take for granted. They don't have to check. What's wrong with them? Well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away. Why do we have? A lot of different reasons, but rough.
Okay, a lot of different reasons. Name one.
Half those families don't. Why do Armenians have that? But where they end up is why they're cashing places. But I want to know why those two groups don't have access. A lot of it just happens to
name one reason.
Flawed? No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling. Genetics are making their work. Hardly, not absolutely. But Asians have this problem. I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems. Oh, so that's not just black and Hispanic. No, but why do you bring up black and Hispanic? Because the magnitude is ominous. Well, why so many of them? It just happens to be. Not at all. Well, what happened to them? A lot of issues. And
what are the fucking issues, Newsom? What are the issues? Tell us, explain it. Give us one. Give us one.
That communities are struggling. A lot of different reasons. Lots of blacks have been here longer than we've been. Well, we can surmise. What about put in internment camp? Yeah, we in fact it all initiated in San Francisco. All right, Chinese Exclusion Act came out. So they checked that. Have they checked? A lot of Asians certainly do. So why don't you? Because the only reason why is the magnitude.
The magnitude of the black vote is what he means to say. That's a huge demographic that if you tell them they're victims, They'll do anything. They'll do anything for anybody or to anybody. All you got to do is tell them that they're victims. Tell them you feel sorry for them. Tell them how pathetic they are. That's what Gavin Newsom did. You know what's crazy? I remember being in California in 2020 and 2021. There was a recall against Governor Newsom, this new scum piece of shit. And we had so much momentum from Orange County to San Diego, all the way through Eureka. They're trying to get Newsom out of there because of the lockdowns. We wanted to reopen. We needed to get our businesses back on track before everybody completely loses everything. And at the time, they're jerking you around. They're telling you, okay, look, go out, you spend $50,000 or $40,000 on buying plastic partitions. I don't know if you guys remember that. They were putting those on tables in restaurants so that there's like no to block people from each other. So all your food went bad from your initial closure. They were telling you that they're going to let you reopen. You're watching craft services for all the movies are still operating and, you know, serving food, but your restaurant next door has to be closed. They people go out, they spend that money, they take out loans to get the money, they get the food, they say they're going to reopen. The day you're supposed to reopen, you've done all your compliance, and they tell you, you know what? Scratch that, we're staying closed. All that money you just wasted and the time gone. So people wanted Newsom out of there. Larry Elder was talking about reopening the economy in California, fighting against wokeness, supporting Trump. Do you know what vote, it turns out, literally saved Newsom's ass by the skin of his greasy head? The black vote. And I met black people too, and they were like, I was like, so wait, you guys voted against the recall? And they say, yeah, we don't want to reopen. We want everything to stay closed because they're going to keep sending us money. We don't want to reopen. We don't want to go back to work because we don't own anything anyway. And I'm like, well, why don't you own anything? Well, it's because you don't want to. Because you want things given to you. Communist. It's a whole group. It's a whole voting base of communists in this country that people don't want to address or call them what they are. And California is proof of this.
There's probably more, the magnitude and percentage. But there's no way to figure out how to. Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account.
Everybody has access to every fucking thing. He's a liar. What was this right here about?
One of my missions is to turn on its head the idea that carbon dioxide is a pollutant and somehow dangerous, when in fact it is the most important nutrient for all life on Earth, and without it, this would be a dead planet. So I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential, and it's a good thing that we are putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along. If we had definitive proof that CO2 was causing serious problems and we could prove it, don't you think they would write that down on a piece of paper somewhere so people could read it? They don't have definitive proof, period, in science. I'm a student of the philosophy and history of science, and I know that the scientific method has not been applied in such a way as to prove that carbon dioxide is causing the Earth to warm.
I'm also a student of the scientific method. In essence, that makes me a scientist. And what he's saying is absolutely correct. There is nothing that you can read where they can give you proof that the caps are melting, oceans are rising, and humans and farts from cows are making the earth hotter than it should be, so much that a tax is the only thing it's going to take to cool it off. And also restricting your travel is going to be the only thing to do. But only for people in the Western world. If you live in China or India where there's billions of people, nothing that you're saying over here, none of these top-down orders from the World Economic Forum apply to them at all. Everything is just for us to make the weather gooder. Makes no sense. So but you know, a lot of people don't understand how to explain these things. Everyone's not a good public speaker. I was listening to a friend of mine, Red Pill Rocky, and you know, he equated people not making videos, speaking out against a lot of this stuff with cowardice. And honestly, I don't agree with that per se, just because a lot of people are not making excuses for them. They're just not good public speakers. They can hear something, but as far as them being able to repeat it back to other people and spreading information, they're not good at it. That's why it's up to certain people to have these conversations online and offline. Right now, I'd rather be playing zombies on Call of Duty, or you know, doing something fun, having drinks. But I have so many things I want to talk about, and I waste tons of my time posting all these videos and all these stories for people to see that there is a pattern, there's something going on. If I don't make these videos, then one day I'm going to wake up and we're going to be in another lockdown, and that's going to essentially affect my bottom line. You know, I never cared about politics. In 2019, I didn't give a shit about who the president was. As far as I could tell, the price of gas and the price of bills, everything stayed the same no matter who was the president. And then one day I'm going to my favorite bar and it's closed for 3 years. And then that's when it became real. That's when me not paying attention to politics affected my bottom line. So I make these videos so that we can kind of keep track of where things are, so we're not caught with our pants down anymore. We kind of know what to expect. That's where we are right now. So, but yeah, definitely, you know, this isn't, I don't get donations. I'm not monetized or anything. I don't even think I have enough followers on YouTube right now on this new page. My other page got kicked off because of what I used to discuss. I had a really popular Facebook page that was deleted because I shared the Hunter Biden laptop story. Never got that. And after it came out to be true, I never got that page back. I don't know Zuckerberg. I don't know any of these people, so I don't have the pull yet. One day I will. I keep building. I have a bunch of ideas for just, you know, ways to read the news of people and do my own media, some short form, some long form. And eventually, maybe I will have enough sway where someone can give me some answers, and maybe I can get my goddamn Facebook page back, because I used Facebook as an electronic journal. I kept all my family pictures on there and everything because it was always there and it was free. Bad idea. Bad idea. So, oh, another video of showing what I'm talking about how this whole black culture thing is starting to spread to other people via English language. Look at this. Look what she says.
We don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men. And I've been hearing that from a lot of the
straight white men. Who did I say is their target?
ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, you know, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that. I think I don't really know. Have you ever experienced like
How the fuck does an adult say something definitively, and then when you ask them to explain, the first thing out of their fucking mouth is, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You literally just said this. How can you not explain yourself?
I know, I just need to go. I'm sorry. We don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men. And I've been hearing that from a lot of the ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, you know, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that. I think I don't really know. Have you ever experienced like I know, I just need to go. I'm sorry.
Disgusting. More damage to my home state of California, and also something from Gavin Newsom as well. But again, we're going to go over look at more frivolous lawsuits. This is a frivolous lawsuit about ladies' night, and I guess it discriminates against everybody apparently. So let's.
And is now set to close permanently at the end of the month.
I mean, I love this place. It's like what family does.
The owner telling us they haven't been able to fully bounce back from the cost of settling a recent discrimination lawsuit related to discounting drinks for women on its ladies' night.
And this is a business that one of the few rare businesses, a restaurant that survived all of the lockdown bullshit and their nonsense and all the jerking people around. They were lucky enough to make it. And now look, something else that they're letting the California government's allowing to happen to them.
A frivolous lawsuit that took us down, and this is chasing lawyers.
Several similar lawsuits have been filed throughout the country, taking aim at variations of Ladies' Night, including earlier this year in Fresno, when its minor league baseball team was sued over a Ladies' Night promotion.
It was exactly that, discrimination over Ladies' Night.
Did it surprise you? Were you shocked by them?
I was, a lot. I've never seen, I see Ladies' Night everywhere else.
According to the state, gender-based promotions like Ladies' Nights can land businesses in legal trouble, violating California's Civil Rights Act. Here at Lima, the cost of the lawsuit just piled on to an already tough time, with high inflation driving record has been around for nearly 9 years.
9 years. So that means they opened up 2015. So since 2015, so they survived 3 years of lockdown. This is Concord. So this is the Bay Area of California, or right outside the Bay. It's just a shame. You can get sued for anything in California and you will lose if you're the party with money. They're communists. They're envious of people who have restaurants and businesses, and they want to take you down. And guess what happens? Eventually, the only people that have control of the of resources and of the businesses, and they have control, is going to be just the state. It all goes to the state. It's literally communism. The means of manufacturing, all the means of production are going to be controlled by the state. They're removing it from the hands of private individual owners and individual people, and they're basically just turning it over to the state. Because eventually the state's going to have to step in to fill these gaps and provide food when all these restaurants in these areas in California are closing, just like when they shut down all the CVS and the Walgreens due to theft. Eventually, the state's going to have to step in and provide those solutions. Same thing with housing when they force all the landlords to go bankrupt. I mean, this is California. It's California. I do want to talk about this, but I don't know what I can and can't talk about on here, because this is also being streamed to YouTube. Oh yeah, also if you're on YouTube or whatever, if you can, subscribe or like the video, or I hear people say like and subscribe. I'm fairly new to all this, but that way, once I get to a certain amount of people, I can do lives. Then I can, talk to more people. But this is just basically, my format is I just do a news feed scroll on my page, and we just talk about the different topics. That's it. It's fairly simple. Like, these are things that I post. But if I go to my homepage,
Woman, she already had
then,
kind of masculine.
we can just go and talk about this. Let's see here. For example, see, I got to stay away from this topic, even though that's the topic that I'm the most passionate about. If you're feeling unwell, please do not enter a hospital, even though that's where you're supposed to go if you're not feeling well. But actually, no, you shouldn't. You should go home. You should drink water. You should drink tea. You should eat a salad. There's other things you can do to mitigate it. Why do you want drugs so bad? If you're not feeling good, a bunch of drugs, it's not the answer. You're alive. Your body needs time to heal if you're sick. That's just how it goes. I mean, this guy gets it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., in a million years, I would not take the... Yes, this is a safe and effective podcast page, so you know what that means, but it's just like, I can't even talk about these topics on YouTube, but you know what I mean. Who is this?
To be honest, in general, I think what it shows that by Boris Johnson breaking rules was that they were absurd in the first place, and that we should never have gone into lockdown. It was the biggest mistake, I think, that the government has made, because we now have a mental health crisis. We now have children who have to catch up on their lost learning, and we have NHS backlogs of over 6 million people, and we have cancer patients who can't get seen, who died during lockdown. No one talks about that. Why are we not talking about the collateral damage from 2 years of lockdowns, which have destroyed the economy and which have caused the cost of living crisis that's happened today.
And that's 2 years in the UK. We went through 3 in California. And most people in the country don't know, we went through 3 hard years in California of this right here. And like he said, the collateral damage is something that nobody wants to discuss. Because think about it, where would you discuss it? On the news. You would trust a reporter, a paid talking head to talk about these topics. Personally, I'm not paid by anybody, so I can talk about them. There is the people you're depending on to bring these things up, they don't exist. You have to come find us on the internet, on YouTube, on Instagram, on X, wherever we can get platformed. I've been kicked off of so many platforms. Rumble is pretty much all I got left. And once I set up my studio and get everything together, I'm going to be on Rumble because that's, I want to support Rumble and I want to be a part of it. And I do plan on eventually getting on Spotify. I just got to learn the rules. But I do like this is talk radio. I just have a camera pointed at me, but it's just talk radio. But again, the collateral damage of those lockdowns, no one's even talking about that publicly because the people who you would depend on to talk about them are not allowed to talk about the topic. So you have to find people like myself who will talk about it. Like I said, I'm doing a comedy about the lockdowns. I'm actually going to be raising money to do the production. And it's just going to go from 2020 to 2023. And it's just going to be a comedy about the ridiculousness of the lockdowns and how it's a comedy. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's going to be funny. So I can't talk about this. You can read it, I think. I'll be honest. I'm not completely sure. I don't know the rules, but I like it. We'll go ahead and like that. Just random person in Texas just stabbing people's tires. Okay. And he's been arrested, slashing 30 neighborhood tires, and he's facing a felony. What type of idiot would do that, especially in Texas? Jesus Arano, a 22-year-old white man is what they're saying. Obviously, he's not a white man if that's his name. And that's what they're reporting on mainstream news. Hilarious. Yeah, and this is what I was just talking about in the last live. PSYOPs, all these 3 different men, all connected to 2009 Fort Bragg in North Carolina. They're using the exact same tactics for the exact same thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. What else is in my news for you? Oh, this topic. Oh, but it's a happy story. AstraZeneca execs sentenced to prison for fraud. Good. And this is the guy who we had the choice to put in as governor in California, and his own people voted against him in favor of more lockdown and more destruction of the California economy. But you're not allowed to point that out, right? Because you don't want to sound like you're biased against that group. The first liberals, we really need to ban fire before someone gets hurt. It's a very good problem. You're going to like that, Larry Elder. Very good. Very good. Nothing is going to happen to the people on that list. I think Bugs is right. Which list? Well, apparently there's 2 lists. There's a Diddy list coming out. There's an Epstein list coming out. I don't think it's going to matter at this point. Who's going to enforce it? Who's going to stick their necks out there and go do the dirty work? Who's going to do it? Tom Hooman? I mean, we're putting a lot of trust in one man. We're hoping he's going to do this, that, and the third, but he would need more power. And this country has checks and balances. But under the Biden regime, all those checks and balances are out the window. I don't know. I think we're going to have to remove some safeguards, and some tough decisions are going to have to be made. That's all I got to say about it. It's going to have a choice. Jay-Z's request to file to dismiss rape accusers lawsuit granted. See, this isn't on mainstream media, but it was when he was being accused. But now that the person that was accusing him, and I'm not a Jay-Z fan at all. I think he's a piece of shit. He's a piece of trash for a lot of his business practices and things he's done to other people and stifle their careers. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's happening with him. I wasn't there firsthand, but just from what I've read and what I've seen with his behavior, he's not a nice guy. But again, this is America. You don't have to be nice to anybody at all. Yeah, he scammed his own people for their support and then ditched them and ditched all the artists, especially with the title bullshit. That's his right to do it. He's a cutthroat. But they are basically going to file a motion to get that civil suit against them dismissed, and that was granted. Even though they were trying to pretend like the judge a couple of weeks ago ruled in favor of this person, I don't think that wasn't the case. But now that this is positive news for him and he's the person being targeted, no one's really talking about it. So at least I brought it up and I was able to read it to you. It says weeks after the rapper was accused of rape of a 13-year-old who magically showed up at a party that no parents and nobody remembers this person being there. There was no proof of anything. Actually, the story contradicts reality. One of the people that this person said they spoke to at the party was actually on tour in another part of the country on that time. Granted, this is 2000, in the year 2000, I believe. So 25 years ago? It shouldn't even made it this far. That's one thing about these frivolous lawsuits in America. Anybody can say anything about you with no proof. And even if it doesn't make sense, and you can be sued, which is ridiculous. FBI in NOLA released the terrorists wearing meta glasses and placing coolers with IEDs throughout the French Quarter. What? The FBI released this? Man, this guy seemed like he was really busy just to drive a car eventually through everything. But I mean, again, nothing was accomplished at all. So why? It just seems like there's just all these distractions going on. All these distractions. He could have been having a good time. Why would he waste his time doing all this nonsense? Doesn't make sense. All the Fort Bragg, and it doesn't make sense. Big Pharma, Klaus Schwab, the Rothschild. Well, he's gone, I think now. I think they lost him in a fire.
That's why this legislation mandates that books cannot be removed from our libraries solely based on the origin, background, or views contained within the text, or because an individual finds it offensive.
So people have been complaining about porn being offered in books to children in their schools. People like myself on the right have been saying those kind of books that are sexually suggestive or teach kids how to engage in sexual acts, etc., going over different topics like that, should not be in elementary schools. This governor, who's a Democrat, disagrees. And this is what they're saying. You know, people don't realize when they talk about the book burnings back in the day in Deutschland, they were burning pornography books. These same books were being burned back then because they were in schools and the kids didn't want them. History is repeating itself over and over again. We're going back to the same cycle, not even a full 100 years later.
At the same time, it also empowers local communities to engage in a transparent and thoughtful discussion on the books that should or should not remain in our libraries. That's why this legislation mandates that books cannot be removed from our libraries solely based on the origin, background, or views contained within the text, or because an individual finds it offensive. At the same time, it also empowers local communities to engage in a transparent and thoughtful discussion on the books that should or should not remain in our libraries. That's why this legislation mandates that books cannot be removed from our library.
Okay, well then what's the point of having a debate and bringing people together to discuss what books can and should not be there if you just created a bill that means that they can't be removed anywhere? Then there really is no debate. It's basically you're just going there for fun. I guess it's just the practice of it. You're not really and truly, you can't do anything about it. They want your kids to be gay so bad because everyone knows what kids that grow up to be, everyone knows what they do to themselves in their mid-30s. There's a reason why you don't meet very many of them that are 40 plus. No kids, no wife, but living that lifestyle, and they self-delete. They want your kids to self-delete. That's way easier than them finding some clever way to delete your kids for you. Remember, they hate your kids. They don't want you to reproduce.
In a shocking and chilling case out of Texas, one doctor's betrayal of trust has led to a 190-year prison sentence. Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz, a 60-year-old anesthesiologist, was convicted of tampering with IV bags, turning them into deadly poison bombs, waiting to harm unsuspecting patients.
But why was he doing that? They never go over motive.
For months, Ortiz injected heart-stopping toxins into the IV bags meant to heal. What started as strange cardiac emergencies escalated into tragedy when Dr. Melanie Casper, a colleague, died after taking one of these tainted bags home to treat dehydration. The toxicology report confirmed the unthinkable.
I mean, what are the odds of that? He didn't even get a patient. He got a doctor who picked up the wrong bag.
Her body contained the very drugs that had been found in Ortiz's poisoned bags. Her husband, Dr. John Casper, spoke of the unbearable pain, recounting the image of his wife's lifeless eyes. Prosecutors called Ortiz a medical terrorist, comparing his actions to an armed assailant spraying bullets indiscriminately into a crowd. In court, video evidence showed Ortiz mixing syringes, all while emergency responders raced to save his victims. One of them, 18-year-old Jack Adlerstein, nearly died after routine surgery due to a tainted IV bag. The combination of drugs, bupivacaine, epinephrine, and lidocaine, could cause heart failure, blood pressure spikes, and pulmonary edema, nearly killing a young patient. Despite the devastation, Ortiz remained emotionless, absent during his sentencing hearing. His silence was deafening as families of the victims were left to grieve the lives lost and shattered by his actions. Dr. Ortiz will serve a 190-year sentence for crimes that will haunt countless families forever. A once trusted doctor, now a symbol of medical betrayal. The case serves as a chilling reminder that in the hands of the wrong person, even the most trusted professions can become deadly.
Let's look this up. What was his name? Reynaldo Ortiz, motive. So they're trying to say he had a business, and that's what it was. Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz is accused of injecting dangerous drugs, yada, yada, yada. 11 patients. Oh, that was 11 victims, okay? But the prosecution worked to show that Dr. Ortiz's two businesses were losing money, putting him in a desperate situation where his privileges were once again in question. The doctor had an expensive lifestyle, okay? How does this tie in with him poisoning people? Okay, so was he trying to boost more business by creating medical issues in people secretly? Is that what they're trying to say? In court, Okay, Ortiz's businesses, medical assured medical billing, and Garling anesthesia consultants. Okay, struggling to make payroll. He was working on getting a hospital in Allen, Texas. Okay. Did not recognize the patient's inadequate oxygenation and ventilation. The patient had to be resuscitated with CPR. It's not the direct motive evidence you could ever find. Direct motive evidence would have been if they could have shown, for example, the defendant had a grudge or targeted a particular patient to go after a patient for a particular reason, but that doesn't appear to have happened, said Coggins. The government doesn't have to prove motive. When the judge charges the jury, he will not charge them, as you have to find a motive. If you find the defendant did the act, did it intentionally and cause harm, then that's a violation. No, true. You don't need motive to prove guilt. However, did they ever establish motive or ever what did they say was the reason why he did this? Defense work showed that Ortiz's income from that business did not drop as dramatically. Okay. Okay, so what they're saying, I guess, is that he had no motive. He was just an asshole. He did this for fun. There's no motive. He just decided to go on a fucking kill spree. A man who's a millionaire who makes millions a year just decides to start poisoning people in the hospital. And it wasn't directly going to, he doesn't work on the hospital board. So more patients, more sick people, they make more money, which is typically how it works, like a mechanic with a car. But he would not have been directly benefiting from these people having these issues. It's kind of like he was just playing, like the guy said, shooting indiscriminately into a crowd. But it's not like they're going to directly bring the people into the crowd to his hospital and he's going to make money off of them. So he just did this with no clear motive, and I guess he never admitted to a motive. Unbelievable. Oh, wow. Skip Bayless. Fox's Skip Bayless and others sued on 14 counts, including sexual battery. The suit alleges Bayless offered a plaintiff $1.5 million to have intercourse with him, and that a Fox Sports 1 exec grabbed her buttocks at a party. It seems like she was extremely hot, and that's why she got hired, and that backfired. Okay, think about it. How beautiful must this woman be for somebody to offer her $1.5 million when the going rate is what, $250, $300 on average? I mean, it would probably have been cheaper if he would have just offered to marry her. And then that way she could have divorced him and would have been way more than 1.5. Apparently Skip's been doing pretty well in this world. But I don't understand how that's a crime. I mean, it's not like he tried to take it. He offered, which is, I guess, the gentleman thing to do. You make a pass at someone, you shoot your shot. I don't know. But again, if he's in a position of power, then that can be abused if she turns it down. So were there repercussions? Was she fired, or was she suspended? Was she punished at all after that? That's what I'd be willing. That's what I want to look. But again, this seems civil. Poor Skip. But then again, as a man, you have to, especially in this day and age, you should know better. You can't do that, Skip. You got to know better, brother. But I don't think there's anything wrong with him, flexing his muscle and saying, hey, I have money, let me pay you. But I mean, Jesus Christ, if this person's now afraid of losing their job because she works for you, you can't do that to an underling. You can't do that. And this video, I heard what he was saying, but I don't know. We shouldn't even play it. But
Spreader of misinformation, conspiracy theorist, MAGA, anti-vax, anti-Semite.
Oh, that's Aaron Rodgers. That's funny.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push personal Unfortunately, some members of the media.
And this is why independent journalists like myself exist. Because look at the alternative. Look at who you're trusting to explain to you what's happening in the world, what's happening in the country, and to be honest with you and talk to you about it and give you their opinion. Look at who you're trusting. This is an opinion. Are black women attractive? I mean, who cares if he doesn't like black women? He doesn't have to. Those are his opinions. I mean, so what? Jesus. Let's see here.
If it triggers someone's anxiety.
I posted something that he posted. You come to arrest me, you don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in plus? Is it something he said that I said? Someone caused obviously anxiety based upon your social media site.
So basically, this man is arrested because his post caused anxiety in another adult man. Again, people, the freedom of speech requires the right to bear arms, or you don't have it. Does that make sense? Does anybody understand what I'm saying? The freedom of speech is only for those who have the right to bear arms as well. If you don't have it, then you don't have one, you don't have the other, period. And this is proof. They've been just putting on a facade all these years.
Anxiety. Your post caused someone anxiety. Now we're going to come pay you a visit, at least 3D. People getting arrested over this. UK, really? Is that what we're going to do for real?
That's what they've been doing in Australia and the UK. It all started back in 2020. I remember. I kept track of it.
Threatens to punch me. One astronaut threatens to shoot. And we even left a hot microphone accidentally in an astronaut's house after he assaulted me. And the camera guy, disoriented, he forgets to hit stop recording. So while the astronaut and his son are in their house with the door closed, we're recording the audio by wireless microphone in the backseat of the rental car in the driveway. And they say, word for word, do you want to call the CIA and have them whacked?
You want to call the CIA? Have them whacked?
Oh my goodness. That is crazy.
You know, I tell people if they're able to convince you that space is real, even though you've never been there and nobody you know has ever been there, and you're really just taking somebody's word for what's going on up there, and it's the word that came from just a small handful of people that all look alike and happen to be Freemasons. No new information at all exists from the 70s. If they can convince you of that, then convincing you that you need to take injections for something that's in the air with a 99.98 recovery was child's play. If they can convince you that black holes and nebulas are real and the distance between the sun and the earth is 93 million miles away, well, how would you know? You never went there to measure it. No one's ever been to any of these places. They're telling you this. There's nothing new under the sun. We're all just still staring up at the sky. We have no idea what those things are, what's going on, no clue. But it's starting to unravel now because we're in the year 2025. We're literally deep in the future. And still no advancements. Matter of fact, they're coming up with less shows about space. They kind of want you to stop thinking about space. They don't want you to ask about it. They don't want you to talk about it. Actually, they're telling you that space isn't real. The only way you can get to space is going through the oceans, or you go to another dimension. But flying between planets, it's not a real thing. They're gradually letting you know that slowly. But Elon Musk announcing that there's something happening in 2 years going to Mars, I guess this whole situation is over by then, because once somebody gives you definitive dates like that for something that they know will never happen because it's not possible, that's kind of a bad sign. It's actually a scary sign. And bad news. Lab uncovers excess DNA contaminated. Oh, we'll talk about that. The man who saved us from the propaganda.
Dare to write his honest opinions. The business of a journalist is to destroy truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of mammon, and to sell himself, his country, and his race for his daily bread. We are tools, vassals of rich men behind the scenes. We are jumping jacks. They pull the strings, we dance. Our talents, our possibilities, and our lives are the property of these men. We are intellectual prostitutes.
That's true. That's what a journalist was 30 years ago. The same thing is true today. Luckily, we have the internet now and we have independent journalism. It's the only hope we have for really, and it's not like we tell you what to think. We just tell you what we think. And if you agree with it, you agree. But at least you can counter our opinions or you can have a difference of opinion. And if somebody's willing to engage with you, you can talk to me. You can't get Don Lemon on live. You can't get Andrew Cuomo or the other, what's that other weirdo? TJ, well, all the fucking CNN people. You can't get Wolf Blitzer on live. You can't, none of these people are going to talk to you. None of the Fox people will talk to you either, but we don't really put too much trust in Fox anymore. I mean, Tucker's not there. So obviously, they'll talk to you about some things, but the rest, no. So there's no point. Very dangerous to live in New York right now. Glad I don't live there. But everybody knew that they should have evacuated New York years ago. By 2021, everyone knew they should have got out of there. If you stayed, it's at your own risk. So apparently there's a new tax. If you want to move around in New York, it's $9 a day. $9 is your toll if you want to go from uptown to downtown or go from one side of the city to the other. It's a $9 tax per day. Absolutely insane. All this is at Costco.
Is not about a sincere desire to make educational or corporate institutions more diverse, more equitable, or more inclusive. If you don't believe me, try having an open discussion on your company message board or at your next DEI seminar about why the same standards should apply to everyone, everywhere, regardless of race, sex, or gender identity. Try that and you know what will happen. DEI is ultimately about only one thing: advancing those who are not white, heterosexual, and male, regardless of their respective qualifications. But businesses, to their everlasting shame, are doing it anyway. They think they're trapped. If they don't set up a DEI office, that proves their company is racist, sexist, and homophobic.
I'm so glad we're doing away with all this now that Trump's coming back. Oh, this was a lot. Watching all the virtual signaling and all the victimhood bullshit was just, it was too much. It's way too much. Critical race theory, also a big problem. Please don't say this is a guy who thinks he's pregnant. Okay, great. That's a commercial. So look, so that's okay. So that's this. These are things that are on my page. This is my news feed. But I personally just kind of collect topics that we can talk about. Let me see if I have any other things we could talk about. Oh man, this was also a big one too.
Plus Health Center come in, they were passing around butt plugs and dildos to my students, talking about queer sex, using lube versus using spit.
Meet Joe Bruno, Dean of Students at the prestigious Francis W. Parker Private School in Chicago, which happens to charge $40,000 per student.
They're just like passing around dildos, butt plugs. The kids are just playing with them. They're like, how does this stuff work? How does this work? That's a really like cool part of my job.
Parents might be stunned to learn that Bruno's version of love and acceptance means handing out sex toys to underage students.
So if you're listening to this, if you found out that somebody did this to your kids at school during school hours while you're at work, you drop your kids off there hoping that they're going to be safe and protected, and you found out this is what they were doing behind your back, what would you do? You know, it's a tough question. You know, everyone's so tough and everyone's so brave, right? Until it's them. You know, everyone lives in these hypotheticals. Little do you know, this is either happening to your kids or it's about to. So you might as well just ask yourself the hard questions now. What are you going to do about it when it happens? Because they want your kids. They want to have intercourse with your kids. They don't want your kids to tell you about it. They want to turn your kid against you. They want your kid to join them. Because remember, they don't have kids. They have yours.
We do a Pride Week every year. I had like our LGBTQ plus health center come in. They were passing around butt plugs and dildos to my students, talking about queer sex, using lube versus using spit. Who is this? This is the LGBTQ plus health center came in to talk to my high school students. They're just like passing around dildos and butt plugs. The kids are just playing with them and looking at them. In the school? In the class. Yeah. Well, I'm sitting there. Yeah, come in, get some cookies and brownies and do photos. And everybody's cool with that. Like the butt plugs and the dildos. Nobody complains. I mean, if the parents found out that they, it's queer sex. The drag queen that came in. What's her name? Alexis Devils. I just hung out in my classroom. Was there? Hung out in my office. You have so much freedom. So much wiggle room. So much freedom. So much money. I mean, years to do stuff. Now, Caesar, okay with that too? They don't know. They would. It's like we wouldn't even like run it by them.
You know, these they call them honeypots when people like James O'Keefe or other reporters, if you've noticed that these patterns, these people that work at these pharmaceutical companies, they work in government, they work in schools, all these people that they get to admit to doing all these horrible things on video, they're all gay for the most part. And you think about it, there's a extreme it's to be gay is it's a very lonely, and it's a lot of sadness, but it's also very lonely. These people know what they're doing is wrong, but they're so lonely and they're yearning for acceptance from somebody so bad that they just spill the beans on any and everything to anybody willing to listen. I mean, this man is literally admitting to committing crimes against kids and also against the behind the backs of his employer and the school and the people that the people that control the school. And he's just candidly talking about it because he has no one. He has no friends besides other perverts. His family's likely disowned him. And he's just looking for kids to harm before he self-deletes, which is literally any day now. It might have already happened. Because remember, that's where that lifestyle leads to, self-deletion. And remember, if there's a depopulation agenda, then anything goes. You know, as long as we get the results we need, whatever we can do to get you to do it, who cares? But that's why this person, go through all of O'Keefe's videos. There's always these weird gay people that work in these high positions because to get certain people to do certain things, only certain people will do them. These gay people don't have children. So they don't care about a reputation or a family. They don't have anyone that they got to support besides themselves. So they're willing to break rules and to lie, steal, cheat, do whatever. They don't care about life. They don't care about the future. They don't care about the country. They don't care about tomorrow because many of them will delete themselves that same night. These jobs, these positions give them something to live for. If not, they will just self-delete. So these jobs are all they have. So that's why they'll do whatever. And they don't care. They have nothing else. They have no children. They have no spouse. It's just them. That's why you see so many of them. That's why you see so many of them being caught up in these honeypot situations by O'Keefe.
The kids that with the class of 14 and 18.
Now, I'm surprised about that. Kids in between 14 and 18 typically openly reject this. They usually target kids between 7 and 11. So I'm surprised about that.
Like, how does this work? So that's a really good part of my job. Is I don't worry about stuff. I love LGBTQ plus health.
Unbelievable. Happening in schools, and you have no idea it's happening in your own kid's school. You don't know what those teachers are talking about nowadays with your kid. You think it's just like it was when you were a kid, and you're extremely wrong. You're very wrong.
First time driving in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was a funny one. So basically, this is the H-1B visa program situation. According to Vivek Ramaswamy, who apparently is he's for it now. 2 years ago, he said that it was basically slavery. He basically said that the people that they're bringing here from India and Sri Lanka, they were basically being trafficked. And it's a flawed program. And, you know, if you think about it, the people that they bring over here, they're no smarter than the American people. The difference is when you're offering an American person or an Indian person from overseas $120, the American person is going to get paid $120. If you bring them from India, instead of getting $120 like they're promised, they're going to get $40. And then there's headhunters and kickbacks in between there that's going to take the rest of the money. They're not going to get their hands on it. And then you put them all in dorm style housing. You set up the transportation, take them to and from work. I know this because they were my neighbors at one time back in Arizona. I used to work for a corporate housing company, and there was a building adjacent, and it would all be all these Indian people only. And I'm like, what the hell are all these people doing here? They don't even speak English. But they were working for a company. They lived in my apartment building, and there'd be like 15 of them in one apartment. But these are people that were dressed up, wearing like, you know, dressed like business casual every day. So I'm like, well, it seems like they're making whatever jobs they're doing or jobs that they should be making more money. Why are there 15, 20 of them in one apartment, in a 2-bedroom apartment? And it's because they are being trafficked, and they know they can have their visa, you know, revoked by the company that's sponsoring them at any time. And a lot of their money goes back to the company or to the headhunters or to the recruiters and all. They all just slice up all that money. And then you wonder why these people like Musk, they're pro it. They're for it because it's a controlled slave labor force. And they have to be completely loyal to you or they lose everything. I mean, think about it. The average person for that job would get paid $11,000 a month in India. They come over here, promise 120, but they're still getting 40. But I mean, annually. So that's still more money, but you're in complete control by the company. I mean, I don't know what that's like, but I'm a citizen. So I lived at a corporate apartment. I worked for a big company before, and they moved me. And when I didn't want to work for the company, like, okay, well, you got to move out. I had the option. I'm a citizen. I can move out and go do my own thing, go work somewhere else. These people don't. Everything, and then what if you bring your wife here and you have a kid? You're completely dependent upon this company that you're working for. Also, they make you sign agreements for non-competes. You hire an American, one of us get in there. We see the operation. We're like, I can do it a little bit more efficient. I can procure some funding. Maybe I can compete with you. So this is a way that you can lower the potentiality of that happening, plus be in more control of your employees. And it actually helps you retain the employees also because they have to stick with you. They can't just leave and, you have to start all over and retrain someone new. So I see why billionaires and people do it, but it's, let's call it what it really is. You're not able to exploit the Americans, so you bring in foreigners. But if it's going to be an America first agenda, that means Americans first also. We can't put other people above our own people. Americans first, not just America first, Americans. So that's what's happening. And now that everyone knows that these people are basically just victims of organized trafficking, that's a big thing in America now. Nobody wants to be a trafficker. So I don't see this being allowed for very much longer. Sorry about that. Told everybody I'm still getting from, the natural part of human life. I was under the weather for a few days. So that's why I wasn't doing any lives, but now I'm back. Oh, funny. Yeah, mentally ill people were sterilized under this regime. And under our current regime, these people also sterilize people who are mentally ill, who suffer from gender dysmorphia or autism. And they work hand in hand, yet they pretend like they hate these ones so much. But these ones do the exact same thing to literally the exact same people. Look, I'm going to take a break and go get something to eat. Share, like it, so that way you can watch my other videos and be notified when I make more. I got to get a video editor so I can start chopping up these different segments and posting them. But remember, America first. Fuck George Soros and fuck Klaus Schwab. And fuck the World Economic Forum. And I'll be back on, if not tonight, it'll be tomorrow.